Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Vibing with Sleezy, the podcast. This is season 2, episode 18. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Thank you, everybody that has downloaded, reached out from the last episode. I can't thank you all enough for the support. I know it was a very emotional episode talking about suicide, but I can't thank Katie enough for coming on and sharing the story about her husband and what she's dealt with. Also, just want to continue thanking everybody for the support. The downloads have been ranging in different locations, and it's just been a great season. And I can't say enough how much I just thank everyone for what they've been saying lately. I really appreciate it. And I got some great guests coming up here. Only got a few more episodes left for season 2. But as soon as season 2's over, I'm going to take a few month break, and then we'll hit you back this summer with season 3. Definitely going to do some exciting more opportunities. I've been diving into Podcorn, which is a sponsorship opportunity. Been talking to a few places about doing some proposals for the upcoming season. So very excited about that. But again, thank you all for always joining. So my special guest today is a good friend of mine named Charlie Loveall. He is someone that I have met through a mutual friend, Stephanie Lopez. Shout out to Lopez. And me and Charlie and Sean Fogel and Lopez, we all like to get together when we can, when we find time. We're all very busy people, but we always have a great time when we do link up. We actually got to go to Traverse City for Stephanie's bachelorette party for last summer, and dude, that was just iconic and epic. So there's a lot we're going to dive into. Charlie's a very interesting person, has a great background with fitness, baseball, and just going to kind of talk about too some of the areas where he's lived. So Charlie, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, Sleeves. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, of course, man. I definitely always thought you were a great guy since I met you. Traverse City was definitely a trip that we got to know each other a lot more because of just epic partying, a great time. And me and Sean we just had a blast. I mean, there was just so much on that trip that happened. I mean, we met chicks, we went to clubs, we went to parties. I mean, we went out to eat, but we're like day drinking, hitting the boat. I mean, we met a whole boatload of Cuban chicks. We were having a blast. I mean, floating around the lake. I fucking fall in the lake. Like it just was a great time. And, I mean, Katie Eagle was there, and all the people that were up there. It was just a great time. And then we had the guy's house. The guy's house was an Airbnb, and that's where all the games went down, and where it was just, we had this back patio area that was sick. It was just the perfect party crib. And it just so much iconic shit happened. And then the girls had a dope crib. So Virginia was there. McCullough was there. Michael was there. Who else was
Aaron
was there. Aaron
there,
came late. We had Lopez. Virginia was in the house. Melody, Virginia's been on the show, so shout out to Virginia. But yeah, it was a great time, and man, that was dope. But what was really sick was an idea that me, Sean, and Charlie came up with on the way back was hit Notre Dame.
Yeah,
and we hit the University of Notre Dame. We got to hit all the spots. If you love college sports, if you love legendary historic sites, Notre Dame is a place you need to go see. I mean, it gave me chills, just the beauty and just, everything that was around there. And then, of course, Touchdown Jesus was in the house. So that was sick. And then the football stadium was just, Notre Dame's got historic programs, national championships they've won. So it's just, it's really cool to see that. So we had a blast doing that.
It was so much fun, man. I think that was when me, you, and Fogel really bonded, and just I feel like we were the three amigos on that trip when nobody else was game to do anything. We were just like, you know what? Screw it, let's go have a good time. We're on vacation. So.
Yeah, dude, we went hard as shit. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was just like, but as soon as like we hit the close, it's like we're ready and turned up. And I think everybody hit a level that weekend. Just was on another fucking level, but it just it all worked out. So that was a great time. And yeah, I definitely agree. We hit Brothers, we hit Notre Dame, and we just all three talked. It was just like, we got to do more guys trips, got to do more trips with that group. And we just, I felt like after that, you know, we also realized we enjoy all the same shit, sports. We enjoy going out, you know, partying. We also enjoy the ladies. We also enjoy, you know, we enjoy everything. And then we ended up hitting the casino here recently. That was a good time. That was a wild night. And then Trevor was a gambling man. I mean, he was going crazy
I
that
didn't think
night.
he was going to leave.
I did not think Trevor was going to tap out. I looked at Sean. I said, I got to go.
I thought we were going to have to get a hotel room at Caesars. I was like, we're going to be playing 2 nights now.
Dude, Trevor and his dealer on a first name basis. I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. So shout out to Trevor. But yeah, he was having a great time. But yeah, we were all on a streak. I was playing that wheel. That wheel was a good time.
Yeah. Me and Fogel were playing blackjack, but I remember that. Did you go up that night?
I think I did. I think I went up like a couple hundred, and then like I went over to the blackjack table, fucked around there a little bit. But I like the setup they got now at the casino since they left the boat. But I want to tie back to Notre Dame and tie back to a little bit of your past. So something I learned about Notre Dame was that you played baseball back in the day. Yeah. So you actually got to go on a recruiting trip to Notre Dame, correct?
Yeah. I played in a couple tournaments there, went on a recruiting trip there while I was there just to kind of, you know, see the ins and outs of the locker rooms, you know, just kind of the full 9 yards that go on behind it. And I mean, that was a place I would have loved to play. It didn't pan out, but it was an awesome experience just being there, you know, talking with the coaches, just different things of that nature. And it's historic, man. I think anytime, you know, with me going on different visits and just seeing different programs, you can feel the ones where they're really bought into, you know, their history and being just that standard, that level that, you know, obviously all college sports are awesome, but when you get into programs like that, it's just really awesome to see the history and how much they believe in it and keep it with them day in and day out. Yeah. It was awesome. So yeah, I've been up there a few times, and it's just, you know, it's in the middle of kind of nowhere with being in South Bend, but then when you pop into that town, it's just like everything is college sports. It's all about Notre Dame. And it's a really, really cool little spot.
It's a definition of a college town. I mean, I feel like Louisville is, but it's Notre Dame was just it had that feel. Yeah. So what are some other schools you got to visit?
Oh man, I mean, obviously, you know, I guess I'll kick it off by saying I played JUCO baseball at Olney Central, so I was in Southern Illinois playing for 2 years. Got to visit a lot of places, you know, some small schools where I was getting recruited before I went JUCO and kind of got recruited on a bigger stage. So places like, you know, Asbury and different places around here in Lexington, Purdue I visited. And then, you know, some other junior colleges, Tri-C up in Cleveland, some schools down in South Florida where I'm from, obviously. So that was a big place that I was looking at as well. Evansville was honestly one of the coolest campuses I've been to that I didn't think I was, you know what I mean? I didn't really think anything of Evansville. And when I went on my visit there, that was one of the coolest spots, you know, for me going into business too. Their business school is really cool. And it was just a very eye-opening experience going to places like a Notre Dame and then places like where I ended up playing at JUCO where there's so much different, but there's so much to offer and so much to learn. So yeah, that was, I would say the coolest ones were my trip to Notre Dame. WKU was a really, really cool spot.
That'd be cool,
their football facility is unbelievable. It's really, really nice. And then Evansville, I think, was a really, really cool spot as well.
Yeah, those are all great colleges. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big sports fan in general. So, I mean, all those schools have always made a presence. Even, you know, like Western, I feel like they have developed in such a brand and have built a big program around all their sports. So, with baseball, what you started out into playing, what was your initial first position?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I started out playing when I was 5, so I got bounced around, you know, a little bit of everywhere.
Oh, yeah, we all did.
Yeah, I mean, when you're that young, they're just, you know, throwing you at the wall and seeing what sticks, right? And who can catch, who can throw, you know, at that age, obviously. But as I grew up, I pitched, I played shortstop, I played second base, and that was pretty much where I stayed for my whole career is shortstop.
What'd you prefer?
I love playing shortstop. I played a lot of second in college. But played some short too. But I would say short was my favorite position. But middle infield, I mean, between short and second, it's, you know, not much difference for the most part. So I just enjoyed being out there, I mean, fielding and the defensive side of the game was my favorite by far. So as long as I was on the field in the mix and got to kind of lead the infield, I was happy.
Yeah, dude. And I always felt like when I played high school and, got to play first base. That was always my position. And I played that pretty much whole life. I pitched when I was younger, had a little bit of a shoulder injury, but my main goal was to play first. And I always enjoyed it. Luckily, was able to play at J-Town. And, but I always felt like shortstop, no matter who was playing short, was kind of the captain of that infield. And so I always felt like shortstop needed that responsibility. And that's why I feel like Derek Jeter has that nickname. And why a lot of shortstops are looked up to even when they're not power hitters, because they've done legendary shit on the field. Yeah. And so I've been blessed to play with a lot of great shortstops. And I feel like, too, with the shortstop position is that, one of the coolest plays in baseball is turning two. Yeah. I mean, and would you say it was, I guess, since I never got to play middle infield, was it easier to turn two from a short perspective or a second perspective?
Yeah, definitely from shortstop, I would say. I think both ways, right? Feeding it, so flipping, throwing to your second baseman, just it's more of a natural motion because you're moving through the ball towards first base, towards second base. It's very similar movement. From second, you're kind of flipping the field and moving away from everything, right? Yeah. And then taking a feed from shortstop, all your momentum is going towards the bag, where with second, you're kind of stopping, turning, pivoting, and getting rid of the ball. So a lot more fluid at shortstop, I would say, without a doubt.
And I felt like, my difficulties at first was mainly just, you just had to definitely get the scoop down and, and also to just kind of know when to play in, when to play back. And, I loved fielding. It was something that I felt like I enjoyed more even than going up to bat. I know it sounds weird, but just fielding was always fun to me. What would you say was maybe one of the most difficult pitches you had to ever pitch, try to hit?
Had to hit? Yeah. A tight slider was always the hardest. If a guy was, a plus arm throwing, sitting low 90s and then had a really tight slider, that movement, just, a curveball typically can pick up on the spin, especially 12-6. It was a little bit easier for me to track. But
what was your favorite pitch?
Fastball. Give me a fastball middle in, and I'm happy.
Middle in? All right.
Yeah. I love pulling the ball. Which, again, not a power hitter, but still absolutely love
it feels good as shit pulling the ball.
When you throw a barrel out in front and you catch a fastball on time and hit it to the left side of the field, I mean, it feels like you're not even hitting the ball.
I feel like you have an advantage too when it's almost like Anthony Rizzo, who now he just actually signed a contract extension with the Yankees. Yeah. He had a lot of injuries, but he had a good career with the Cubs there for a while. And something I noticed about him was, I felt like a lot of teams, and this is for a lot of people to pull the ball, expect you to pull the ball each time. And there was times where if that ball was on the outside, fastball, he's taking it opposite field, got a double, drives it in. And I love that. I love seeing fucking up the defense and stuff like that. So I always, admired pulling the ball. And that's what I would always try to do, was try to pull the ball. I mean, if I'd hit it late, I'd love to get a single down or a double. But it was just, it's something about you get in that brain set after a few games. If you're pulling the ball, those teams that have maybe scouted you, or especially in high school, I mean, there's people like, oh, they don't scout, they scout in high school, and you're like, hey, that kid pulls the ball out of nowhere. You fucking know one down third base line. If you're left-handed or opposite, it's just like it's nice.
Yeah, no, it's a great feeling, and that's obviously I had to get out of that when I moved into college, and where I played JUCO at, it was one of the best conferences in the country. It was a lot of people hear JUCO and they don't really know what it is. And, it's something where small school, small town, but I mean, the talent was a lot of guys out of our region got drafted and went and played, D1 baseball. I got a couple buddies in the league right now that I played with, and
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was
legendary.
It was a great experience. It was a lot of guys who either, we call it the land of the misfit toys a little bit, because it's either, a grades thing or a size thing where guys needed a couple extra years or whatever it may be. But a lot of guys, they go and develop for a year or two and go straight into the league. Yeah. So, when you're facing, 92, 93, 3-4 different pitches, a good changeup, good slider, good curveball, you can't be focused on pulling the ball if you're not a power hitter, right?
Yeah.
So I started living up the middle a lot more, living, opposite field, driving the ball to the second baseman's head into the gap. And so I had to change that up from high school to college. It was probably the biggest change I had to make in my approach. But still, when you get something grooved, middle ankle in a baseball is fantastic.
Oh yeah, and people don't realize unless they play the sport of baseball or softball, bat speed's all about bat speed. If you don't have the bat speed, you're not gonna excel. And I'll be honest, that's probably why I never went on I was more focused on doing music and stuff, but like on the college scale, I never tried to pursue walking on or doing that because maybe I could have tried it, but it was more of just like bat speed was you got to have that great bat speed, and especially to get to that level. And, and it's difficult. I remember going down to Florida. We got to play in the Fort Walton Beach Bash tournament, and we played this kid. He was a senior. I mean, he's throwing he's throwing like almost, like you said, around 90, 92, and I've never seen that before in my life, especially playing Loveall JCPS schools. And I'm like, this kid's throwing heat, and I'm like, I don't know where I get this call to like lay down a bunt. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I'm about to, like, this better be good. And I'm like, holy shit. But no, it's just and that's something where I realized at that time, it's just like how key bat speed was so important. So that's what my main focus was when I played, was to keep trying to pick that up. And I also felt like something that was crazy, playing, and I felt like it's gotten better is over the years, is like, I feel like a lot of coaches back in the day were telling you to hit down on the ball. Yeah. And I hear like Josh Donaldson, a lot of people say, fuck that.
But ground balls, hit home runs.
Yeah. Home runs pay millions, ground balls don't. So it's something that I think a lot of people messed up on, especially, or maybe even teaching their kid. But, it's kind of however you felt comfortable picking it up. But you look back and it's almost like, where'd that logic come from? It's like, and there's a lot of, it's like anything you compare to the fitness industry. Obviously, I've moved into that pretty heavily. And there's just a lot of the times everybody wants to have an answer and everybody wants to coach people. And, there's hitting a baseball is arguably, I definitely believe it is. Sports science proved it is. It's the hardest thing to do in sports. Oh, 100%. Ted Williams said that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's when you really, if you watch a baseball game and watch it from the perspective of the angle behind the pitcher and watch how balls move and how they pitch different people and scouting reports, this, that, and other. I mean, it truly is a science. And, with that, a lot of people just want to coach kids at a young age and just give them answers that they don't even know to, right? You got dads who played, maybe a couple years of high school baseball, which nothing against it. That's awesome. They're trying to help, but it's just bad coaching and hitting the ball into the ground, right? Like, obviously there's a time and a place for it, hit and run, right? Different things that way. You want to keep the ball on the ground. But outside of that, I mean, your swing should pretty much remain the same with everything. It's just your approach that changes against the arm you're facing, different pitches they throw, different situational things.
And it's definitely going to be where it's like power too. Like if you got that power, you can, you can maybe swing up, because you're going to drive that ball. So
there's launch angle too, right? I mean, it is, if you break down a swing, you've got to have launch angle. You got to get back spin on the baseball to really drive the baseball. And if you're swinging down, at a certain point that there's no launch angle, your bat's not in the zone long enough. You get into all of these different things that just set you up for failure.
100%. Yeah. And who was some of your favorite players growing up?
Oh man, Dustin Pedroia, one of my all-time favorites. He was a monster, man, and I love intense people. I think of myself as a very intense person, and just the intensity he brought to the game. Absolutely loved Jeter, just the captain, right? I wasn't a Yankees fan, but loved Jeter. I think too. I grew up in South Florida, so Miggy when he was with the Marlins. I mean that was Miggy when he was playing, corner outfield and still hitting
bombs. And he got a World Series with that. Yeah. I feel like he can thank Florida for, his Hall of Fame resume in a way, because he did it all. I love Miggy, and Triple Crown. Yeah. He's had an amazing career, one of the greatest baseball players of all time. But what he did for the Marlins was iconic, and so I think he can't forget those years. I mean, All-Stars, and home run leader, and then he ends up getting the World Series title. And that World Series team for the Florida Marlins was awesome.
Unbelievable.
Had a great coach too, and I really enjoyed watching that World Series. I actually used to have a shirt somewhere, Marlins shirt, but it was a fun team to watch.
It was. I had, because I was still down there at the time, so I had the chance to work out with Juan Pierre a couple times, which I mean, his prime, that guy was a blast to watch. Who'd they have? Like Luis Castillo at second base. I mean, they had who was it? Mike Lowell at third, who had a good career at the Red Sox too. And
they had Pudge too.
They had Pudge. Yeah, I had the chance to meet Pudge. We were talking about Detroit before we started this. When I was in Detroit visiting my family, ran into him in the airport. Awesome guy, super humble, signed a couple hats for me and stuff. And so that was a really cool team where, after that World Series, couldn't piece it together again, but all those guys went and had, really good careers.
That's dope as shit.
Yeah, it was awesome being in South Florida when that buzz was happening for sure.
Yeah. So you grew up in Detroit and then you moved to Florida, correct?
So I was born and raised in South Florida. So I just spent a lot of time in Detroit because my mom's family's from there.
Yeah.
So I would go up there 3-4 times a year. I still do. I get up there as much as I can. So a lot of my childhood was spent up there visiting for periods of time. But I grew up in South Florida until we moved here to Indiana.
So Marlins, definitely.
But I'm riding with the Marlins. I'm a Dolphins fan too, but I mean that obviously has not been.
Hey, dude, I'm not hating. I actually have a good friend named Jaw. It's Phil, but he goes by Jaw, and he big Dolphins fan, and so he's always he loves Tua, but he's still holding on to Tua. So maybe Tua can do something. I think Miami's trying. They definitely made some moves, but. Also too, it's I would love to play for Miami if I'm in the NFL. Why not? It'd be awesome weather, and you're playing in a cool city. So living in Miami, what was that like?
Oh man, I mean, I didn't get the full experience because obviously I've spent most of my adult years here. Yeah. But just growing up there, I think the biggest thing is just the simplicity and the physicality of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sports, number one, are all year round. So, a lot of things were very different when I moved up here. For example, we were, 10, 11, 12, we were pretty much forced to pick one sport because everything's all year round. So, I played football, baseball, basketball, and obviously stuff with baseball, but came up here and people were playing, seasonal sports. And I was blown away by that. But just, living 10 minutes from the beach, it was a different lifestyle, man. Just, a lot of physical stuff and just being outside, playing outside, being around tons of people. And down there too, you don't grow up next to family. Here, everybody's got cousins close and family down the road and stuff. Down there, pretty much, your neighbors, people you meet are your family because everybody pretty much relocates there. It's very rare to meet people who are born and raised in South Florida and with their families. So it's a very big melting pot, which was awesome, man. The diversity, the food, the culture. I mean, it was just, you're immersed by that and you really get, a taste and a look into so many different walks of life. And I'm happy that's coming to Louisville more and more is that diversity and that just openness of different cultures, different food, different walks of life and experiences. And I think that really shaped me as a person because I grew up with all of that right there, and it just kind of took it for granted, but it definitely was an amazing experience. I mean, Florida's like a different world, dude. It really is.
It is. I mean, I used to go down Pensacola Beach a lot and Gulf Breeze and areas like that, and it just it's a different culture, different mindset, but the food's always good, the tropical feel, and and it always, you get down there, you're like, oh fuck, I never want to leave kind of deal. But then there's also it's got its craziness too. But when you were playing sports down in Florida, did you play a lot of city teams like Dade County and schools like that?
So it was mostly, for me, it was a lot of travel ball, which was a lot of it, especially in baseball. Travel baseball is huge down there. And like I said, I moved up here in middle school, so it wasn't to the point where I was playing high school and all of that. So but I mean, played baseball with Jonathan India, the second baseman for the Reds.
Go
we
Reds.
Played ball together. A few other, pretty big names from down there. Touki Toussaint on the Braves. We played ball together. So the sports were, it's lived and breathed down there for sure. But in terms of, playing different school teams and stuff, I moved out before that became pretty big in my life. So
yeah, but that's cool, man. And then like in Louisville, I definitely would say it has been welcoming to new cultures and like food. I mean, I've been door dashing a lot lately, and notice all these different food places, and especially in the Highlands and St. Matthews, and I've been going to some different grocery type places. And if you really explore around Louisville, it's got some good food options.
It's a foodie city. I mean, I didn't even know that really until I started working at where I'm working now and doing what I'm doing now, and talking to people that are relocating to Louisville and all these things. And I've learned even more about the city just through doing that and really learning it. But it's turning into a very big foodie city, and there's a lot of cool little hole in the wall, authentic spots that are fantastic. The new Cuban place in New right by Nulu. Is I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but it is fantastic.
Yellow place?
Yeah, the Yellow place.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
My girlfriend went there recently. Yeah, I've heard good things about that. Yeah, I think her brother once tried down the road, but they have like a chocolate cigar supposedly they bring out at the end, like as a dessert, and I think it might be like smoking or something. It's like a celebratory thing.
I went there very early on. I did not have that, but I'm gonna have to go back.
Yeah,
I love cigars.
Yeah,
so
it was sick. Go. It was like this. It was like almost like a cake or something. I don't know. Caitlin filmed it. I was like, this is a mind blow. But there's tons of great restaurants. I actually want to try a place. It's called. It's on Frankfurt Avenue. It's a seafood place, and I think it's actually now I'm going blank. Let me see. Thank God for Facebook, but dude, I think it's Hooked on Frankfurt. That's what it's called, and it is something that I really want to give a shot. I love seafood. I actually a shout out to a place that a lot of people don't give that much love to is Kingfish. I ate a Kingfish recently, and I had a great fucking experience. I'm not gonna lie, it was fantastic, and great view, and it always brings back memory. The place is so old school, classic. So Kingfish was a good spot, but there is a lot of great places, especially just in the Highlands. Like today, I went to a Asian place that was like a market slash food place next to McDonald's, close to Lopez.
Okay.
Right there, kind of next to Kiko's, and it's like a Asian bakery. I was looking at the stuff. I just grabbed DoorDash there, but they had sandwiches and all. So I'm like, this looks incredible. So I mean, it's just you got to definitely explore those places and try them out, and see what's out there. So you do fitness and stuff like that, and how long you been doing that?
Yeah, so I got into that. That's actually what took me out of playing college baseball is, after my 2 years at JUCO, I had some offers to go play, the rest of my NCAA career. I graduated high school at 130 pounds. I was a skinny dude. And that was always, the one thing in baseball when I went JUCO and stuff, they're like, you got to gain weight. And so I really just started, while I was playing my 2 years of ball there, I just started educating myself on the diet side of things, the training side of things, really understanding my body and how to grow and feed it the right way and fuel it and feel better. And that's what got me interested in it. And I didn't even know, competitions, all those things were out there. And as I just started learning about it, I started learning about the sport more of, specifically men's physique and classic physique, bodybuilding competitions. And it just piqued my interest. And I knew I wasn't going to get drafted. So after my 2 years of school, I was like, I could go play on a partial scholarship, take out some student loans, and, go enjoy 2 years of school before I get into the work world. Or I can, go home, get my business degree from IUS and, really not come out with much debt, pay my way through school, and try something new and challenge myself.
Yeah.
And that's what got me into it. So I just kind of took a leap of faith. I had no idea what I was doing. And I just,
Did you try to play baseball at IUS as well?
No, they asked me to, they offered me, but I just, at that point I was ready for a new challenge. I was ready to
focus somewhere else.
Yeah, I just wanted to do something else. And, if I was going to play baseball, I had a couple schools that I would have definitely played at, and no offense to IUS, it just wasn't there.
Yeah.
So me moving home, I just said, you know what, I'm going to focus on something else and start a new challenge and just see what happens. And
I feel that.
So
I've been there before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it became, something that I, training 6 days a week, eating 6 times a day, tracking all of my food for 4.5 years straight. And I did 3 competitions.
That's awesome.
Yeah. My first one was kind of a little trial show, but my first real prep, I won my pro card in the natural division.
Nice.
And then my second one, I won my pro debut in the natural division. And qualified to compete in Worlds, which is, like the world championship of it for natural. and didn't end up doing that. I went back into an off season, started working, and I kind of went the other way and opened up my own training business. And then that's really where I've been since is training, young natural people who don't have a lot of direction, don't know how to get into the sport, kind of doing what I wish I would have had when I first started, right?
That's awesome.
And thankfully I fell in with a good mentor, John Borman, and he taught me a lot and coached me. And then, I kind of branched out and started doing my own thing and been able to help some people, get some people on stage. Have had some pretty good placings over the last year. So it's been a nice little side hustle for me. And more than anything, I just wanted to help people get knowledgeable about a sport that not a lot of people.
Would you like to do that full time eventually?
No, man, I love my career. It's something that I'll always do because I love helping people, and I think there's a lot of misinformation in that industry. A lot of ways you could get really unhealthy and do some damage to your body pretty quick. Sure. So coaching people up on that and just kind of being more of that side of things, I love. But in terms of doing it full time, I love my career too much right now to get out of that. I'm gonna retire with where I'm at right now.
Yeah, so. And I had a friend in the past, rest in peace. They passed away, but they got into the body fitness and the fitness world, and and that's something where I still kind of look back on their passing, where tragically I feel like they did a little bit too much of a transformation. Went too hard, too fast, and I understand what their goals were and everything, and they had meaningful purpose, but I don't think what they were always taking was healthy or what was certified. And so sometimes it is a lot of a guessing game. And I used to sell beer. I was in the beer industry, and you meet a lot of interesting cats in that. And there was a lot of guys that worked out and like fitness at a few of the bars, and when you're selling, of course, you talk to people about anything and kind of what they're interested in. And it was wild, to hear kind of what some of the people would take, supplements and stuff that almost was illegal, and and it would admit it. And I'm like, and I'm over here I'm a normal dude. Like, I feel like I'm in okay shape, but I'm not a bodybuilder or anything like that. But I'm kind of like, I'm not gonna say nothing because I was here to sell beer, but I'm also kind of like, I don't think you should be fucking doing that. So, but it's everyone's body. Do what they want. It's your choice, and I don't hate on anybody. You have every right to do what you want. But I just find it interesting, some of the shortcuts people do, and sometimes what people don't. There's a lot of people think in present time, and they don't think about future time. And I'm guilty of that too. Almost sometimes with like snacking or like maybe going a route where maybe getting an unhealthy option over a healthy option.
It's a little different than the extreme side of things. Than
the extreme side of things. So I feel like that's kind of my challenge. But there's a lot of people that don't think about some of the stuff they do, and it takes a toll. And then you almost there's a lot of examples now, especially with the internet. You can see all that, and you can see what it's done to people, and people just gotta be educated. So I think it's important what you're doing, and I think shout out to Bessie Downs. She also is great with doing this as well, educating on her Instagram and social media, because I just feel like information is key, and that's in any aspect of the world. Like, misinformation is what is evil with the world right now, and that's where valid information is key. And people have to realize that, and sometimes even if you think you're an expert on it, you can always be educated.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, it's something, and no hate. I respect everybody trying to hustle, but a lot of people do a show and think they're ready to start coaching people. And
exactly.
It's like, you're not, there's so much information that goes into so many things. It's years and years of learning. You have to get a good mentor, somebody who knows the game that you learn from, and just a lot of studying. So I think that's where a lot of that stems from, is people trying to make, quick money or start a business and just kind of do it, which, again, no hate, do your thing, but do the research first before you start working on people.
Yeah, and some people sometimes you see those people too, like target people that they're almost lost causes in a way, and they're trying to find whatever natural way. So they're like, here, take all the money. Yeah. Give me skin.
Yeah.
And and sometimes it also too is just getting off your ass, going to go do stuff, walking around, being active, and that's something that I always enjoy doing in the summer. Louisville has great parks, great areas to walk around, and so you just got to get out and about. There's a lot of people that I see on their fitness journey, a lot of people that are on their fitness journey. Yeah. So it's just kind of whatever makes you comfortable kind of deal. But I totally agree, though, that I feel like some people just don't think about the situations, and like some of the craziest shit you hear, not even on a fitness level, you hear about these women doing these like illegal Brazilian butt lifts where they'll use like fucking concrete and shit like that. It's like,
your
what
body
are you fucking
isn't
thinking?
Meant to take that at all.
No,
like, there's nothing good is going to come from that.
Not at all, and that's what blows my mind. I get so confused by these people who go on these routes where it's like they want beauty, they want perfection, they want the nip tuck, and like I said, no hate on plastic surgery or anything like that. I love fake titties. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not gonna lie. But at the end of the day, though, you have to. You have to realize, though, too, there's extremes like in anything, but also the situation is that I just can't believe some of these horror stories I hear about like how you think that in reality, and like why you want that, and you see these people that are so transformed, so plastic. Like I saw a picture here recently, Mark Anthony, the Cuban singer, world famous singer, J-Lo's ex. One of the biggest Spanish artists of all time. Yeah. He takes a picture with his new girlfriend with another couple, Oscar De La Hoya. Oh, yeah. Good Lord, the plastic surgery. Like, they look completely plastic. And so it's just sometimes it's like, when's enough is enough?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's like anything probably, I can't speak for me.
Oh,
yeah. I haven't done anything.
I haven't done either, yeah.
Just like tattoos or anything else. I feel like when you get something done, it's then all of a sudden it's like the next thing.
Dude,
thing, right?
Jersey Shore is the same way. I'm not gonna lie, I love Jersey Shore.
GTL, baby. GTL.
Yeah, fist pumping. Yeah. I love Jersey Shore, and so many fucking hilarious moments in that show. But something about Jersey Shore is that you look at them in the past, and they look completely different now with all that plastic surgery. I mean, and they make fun of each other over it. And it's but some places it is the culture, it is the mindset. Like I used to work with a lady named Marsha at Leo Weekly, and she would share things about, she lived in, I think, Miami Gardens or some area down there. And she would tell me, everybody in her neighborhood, had the plastic surgery or had the new lift or anything like that. She's like, it's just, some areas it's like that.
It's part of the culture.
Yeah.
And that's with anything, right? Like things can be great in moderation, and I think to each his own, right? I mean, whatever you think is best for you, and what makes you happy with yourself. If it's not hurting anybody else, do it, right? Do your thing. But I think in moderation, right? Even going back to the bodybuilding side, I competed naturally, so never touched anything outside of your typical protein and supplements like that. But steroids are very prevalent in that industry. And there's a way where, and I'm not endorsing it by any means, but there's a way where, people can do it. And it's obviously, they don't know the long-term repercussions. We're starting to learn that, but there's a way you can do it and at least be as safe as possible with doing something that way. And then there's a way that, unfortunately a lot of people do it where it's just not smart. And I think it's the same with what you're talking about, like the crazy Brazilian butt with concrete, or, people just going so overboard. It's just, find moderation, but at the same time, it's hard to tell people when to start and when to stop something, whatever it may be, because if it's not hurting anybody and you think that's your best self, then do your thing. But I'm definitely a fan of the more natural look.
Yeah. For sure. 100%.
I think if you take good care of yourself, eat clean, drink a lot of water, exercise your mind, and take care of yourself that way, that is the most attractive look in my
mind. Oh yeah, definitely. And something I want to kind of tie back to baseball. PEDs was really big early 2000s, like a lot of our kids. And, I grew up Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa. Yeah. Luckily, you also had your clean players like Griffey and Jeter. I love the time I grew up, just sports, everything. Like, I'm very blessed to live the life I live now because I feel like I grew up in the perfect time. But steroid era was a frowny thing on baseball. However, baseball is one of the hardest sports in the world, like we talked about. And, I feel like Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. A lot of these players, but Alex Rodriguez, who I have his autograph, I had dinner with A-Rod. Like, I love A-Rod. I think a lot of these players should be in the Hall of Fame, Roger Clemens, because they still had to perform. They still had to do the task. It's still hard to hit the baseball, drive it out of the park, no matter how much muscle you have. You've got muscular people that can't fucking hit a ball out the infield. So the thing about it is, the one thing too, I kind of look back on the PED situations. It's like who is the judge of what is a PED and what's not? And why are we punishing these guys over drugs that we don't even know what the fuck they are? Like from a fan perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you want to keep as much control of the game and keep it as level as a playing field as possible, right? But you take those away, as a guy like Barry Bonds is still going to be driving the ball out of the park. Maybe instead of a 500-foot home run, it's a 400-foot home run, right? Or something of that nature. But you still got to see the ball. You still got to hit the ball, and you still got to have that talent and work your ass off, right? There's no magic pill that you can take and all of a sudden be able to drive the ball 500 yards or 500 feet and see it and play the game the way he played it and like so many others. So I agree. I think they definitely should all be in the Hall of Fame. I think that it was a little blown out of proportion, but at the same time, I'm a big fan of keeping the game as clean as possible.
Yes.
But I also, the other thing is, if it was, there's constantly people popping for stuff, right? Ever since the steroid era, obviously it's gotten better, but you look at somebody like a D. Gordon, in 19 or 18, whenever it was, when he popped for PEDs and had like that 60-game suspension.
The Dolphin or the Miami Marlins, were, I think, shocked by that.
Yeah, and it's like, how random is it that people are actually, is it one person in the clubhouse on all these people, or is it just one person that they're catching, right? And I think that is, you have to take that in perspective too, and I think that's where it gets that really.
And people people are so quick to judge, and people are, and there's a lot of players that, like you said, probably got away with it, and also too, I always find it so controversial because it's like, what is a PED, what's not, and I just felt like with the talent and like what goes into it, and also playing baseball for that many games, like
you got to
you've got to keep your longevity.
Yeah.
You've got to do some of these things, and so I don't even blame these guys for going that route. And plus, it's like, it's more entertaining in general. The long ball, chicks dig the long ball. I mean, everybody knows that. And so it just, at the end of the day, I know I'm all about it being clean as well. I don't like cheating in any aspect of any sport. I fucking hate it. But I do believe you got to draw a line. You got to draw a line where talent overdoes a fucking PED that another human has put on the schedule board or something.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I even, I know a guy, and I'm not going to say any names, but he wasn't prescribed, Adderall, and took Adderall in the minor leagues and received like a crazy suspension, as that's on the list of PEDs if it's not, prescribed to you. So again, it's like going back to your point, how long is the list and what is punishable, what's not, and and that's it's tough to really, it's tough to figure it out. But I'm a fan of true baseball, strategic baseball. I think for playing it so long, I love the long ball. I think that's not going to go away, whether it's clean or not, right? I think,
even if they change the ball.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, these guys, every year it's bigger, stronger, faster, and younger, it seems. Just the evolution of the game. And, I think that will stay. But I love, watching teams hit and run still, steal bags, the little nuances in baseball that, if you don't know the game, you don't even realize how impressive it is. And I think, keeping the game clean, keeping it.
That's why I love Billy Hamilton.
Yeah.
I mean, Billy Hamilton, watching him steal so many bases, and
it's unbelievable.
And what Loveall has been very blessed with from a baseball history perspective. We had Vince, who played back in like the 80s. He had the minor league baseball steal record. Going blank on his last name, I have to look it up. But and then Billy Hamilton broke that record, and so it was cool to see a Louisville Redbird, like a Louisville Cardinal, back in the days when our minor league team was. We Cardinals, the Redbirds. I actually have a poster over there that got developed, And then Billy Hamilton ends up breaking that record. So I always felt like that was just, we were so blessed to have stolen base guys.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
I mean, that's a fun thing to watch.
And then like Chapman with a big plus on, you know what I mean, coming through the Bats organization and or the Reds organization with the Bats. And I mean, yeah, I think, you know, and honestly, just the area in general of baseball is the talent pool here is becoming unbelievable.
Oh,
I mean,
100%.
If you look at some local guys, you know, my buddy Drew Campbell, who is now
Vince Coleman, that was the name of the Redbird guy. Yeah, he's the one that had the other record.
Yeah, but you know, my buddy Drew Campbell, who, you know, from Jeffersonville High School, Jeffersonville, played him. You know, I played at Floyd, he played at Jeff. We played in college together. He went on to play at U of L. Now he's in the Braves organization.
Yeah.
You know, Drew Ellis, another Jeff guy, played baseball against him in high school. Played with his brother Ian in college, and you know, he's playing third for the Diamondbacks now in the league.
Sick. I mean, that's huge stuff. And what's cool too that you bring up is that, you know, baseball has a huge future. You know, people say baseball's dead. It's not. You see these contracts, it almost looks like there's endless money, and these ballparks are getting more bigger, more beautiful. And, you know, talking about the minors, you know, there's nothing wrong with being a minor league baseball player for a long term. I went to Pensacola, talking about Florida. It won like best ballpark several years ago. It's one of the best looking ballparks. You got the golf right behind it. If you hit a home run into left, it's literally going in the water. I mean, that's cool shit. And so I feel like if you go to a baseball game live, it really changes your opinion on the game. I mean, male, 100%. Female, even if you never picked up the bat, it's just something about eating a hot dog, drinking soda, watching a baseball game like that. I don't think that's ever going to go away.
No, man. I mean, it's America's pastime, right? And it's that for a reason. You get a cold $1 beer at a ball game, and, you know, go with some good people and good company. And, you know, I always recommend people who think the game's boring or you know, whatever they may say is watch a game with somebody who's played the game and knows it.
Yes.
And pick their brain on it. And because there's so many little things that go on within 9 innings that, you know, to somebody who doesn't understand the game more than, you know, there's a first, second, third base and home plate, and this is a home run, this is good, this is bad.
What's a balk? What's a walk?
You know, how are you watching the position player shift as a catcher calls an off-speed pitch versus a fastball, right? To somebody that's going to be behind on you know, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball versus, you know, maybe possibly out in front of a curveball or, you know, a changeup, and you know, watching, you know, the shortstop and second baseman sign to each other who's got the bag on a steal, you know, depending on who's at the plate, right? All these little things that you don't know unless you're picking the brain of somebody who's played the game, or unless you really get to understand the game. And so I think, you know, there's obviously all of those little things that I always recommend people, you know, watch with somebody and pick their brain to really understand it. But,
or even pick a person that knows the stadium.
Just knows,
because a lot of people don't realize how helpful a baseball stadium can be with the pitch speed, with the stats of a ball strike, your scoreboard, like that shit you want to follow with baseball. You know, basketball, I'm focusing the game. I might catch a score every few minutes. It's a close game, but it's like at baseball, you want to keep track of that because it's the flow of the game. I mean, that's all of what baseball is. So I feel like a lot of people have to take that into consideration as well. And but I totally agree with you. I mean, as long as someone knows the game, it's a more enjoyable experience. I mean, a lot of people, like, I've taken dates where like girls have been their first game or something like that, and they're like, I don't know all the rules, or I don't know, you know, and you explain it. It's fun to me doing that. Like, I don't mind teaching, but also the ones that take it serious and actually take it in, you can just tell the excitement level changes. I mean, it's even with pro wrestling. I was a big pro wrestling fan, and I've shown a few people, and until they watch it, they don't realize. Like my buddy Eddie, he was like, I've never watched pro wrestling. He watched it, and he was like, oh shit, I like it. So it's like you just it's until you can't knock until you try.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Yeah, man, and it's, you know, it's a fun game, but I think, you know, every sport has. I'm just a big sports fan, so any sport that you watch, you know, I think that there's nuances and the thrill, the excitement, the electricity of the game, right? Especially when you catch a good game, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, you know, whatever it may be. But yeah, man, I mean, it's obviously it's taken me a lot of places and given me a lot of experiences. So I love the game, and a lot of horror stories with it too. I mean, I took a 90-mile-an-hour fastball off the face. Shattered my nose playing. I mean, a lot of crazy stuff too. So But it's, something I grew up with, so I'll always love the sport.
Oh, dude, I don't blame you, man. I saw some crazy shit when I was younger. I remember seeing a kid play third base. I was playing first. It was Little League, and a kid didn't know how to slide. Broke this kid's jaw and slid in wrong. I mean, we're over there picking his teeth up in the 5th inning, instead of and it's just, that's another key to baseball. I think it's important for every kid to play and try. But there's a few things I just want to say to people. Before you get, either as a parent that's listening, or if you're a kid listening, to Vibing With Sleezy, shout out to you. But think about it is more of an adult show. But think about it is, whoever's listening and you're either getting a kid into baseball or anything like that, don't have them throw a curveball super early. I mean, that can really mess the arm when it's super duper young. And then also too, warm up the arm. Very important when you're early young. You can really mess up the shoulder, the arm. Also what we talked about earlier, hitting down on the ball. That's another thing to definitely watch a coach's perspective from that. And then too, sliding, especially head first sliding. You can really fuck up yourself if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. So always practice that shit, but warm up your arm. I cannot harp enough how many people I know that have blown out their arm or didn't warm up in time, and they always got arm pain. They're wearing the elbow with the ice. It's you don't want to do that after every game. So definitely I think that's key for anybody, especially if you have a kid playing ball. Definitely make sure that hey, did you get enough reps in? I mean, that's just my opinion. I just feel like warming up's key.
Yeah, it's obviously, that you see guys, especially the older they get, when you get into the high school level, college, with the bands out there before they ever throw a ball, right? I mean, that rotator cuff work, that elbow work, that internal, external rotation, all of that matters. And I think too, I mean, just a big thing that, when I was growing up is, there'd be dads out there having their kids throw, 50 pitch bullpens because they're a pretty good pitcher at 10, 12 years old every day. It's the arm's not meant to throw 50 pitches at 100% every day. I mean, you look at a big leaguer in a starting rotation, they throw once, so they start a game a week, if that,
And see, that's where I feel like a lot of people don't realize, not to switch over to another sport, but Tom Brady, for example. I was listening to sports radio, and I kind of went diving into NFL talk with you too before we wrap up. But Brady threw over 700 attempts over the age of 40 last year. That's a shitload of fucking throwing on your arm. Yeah. That's a lot of passes on your arm. And I'm telling you, he's not going to be able to keep doing that. I mean, he probably does have a couple more years. He probably could have won MVP last year, but literally, you cannot have this guy throwing 700 balls a year. And but I want to talk. You and I play fantasy football together in the league. Shout out to Lopez for running the league, and shout out to Kelsey. We always have fun. I love fantasy football. I know you enjoy it as well. I cannot harp enough. Number one, I was, awesome end of last season. Even though the Bengals didn't pull it off, I was happy to see it for Stafford, and I was just happy to see the Bengals make it to the Super Bowl. But I am so excited about this next season already.
With the trades and everything,
yes.
I mean, it's honestly, I don't know what half of these teams are going to look like.
Oh, exactly. And there's only a few quarterbacks left that teams don't have. Everybody else has locked in their quarterback. I mean, it's they're locked and loaded.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see what the Colts are going to do.
Yes.
That one was, I was honestly shocked they got rid of Wentz. I thought they had a building.
They got Matt Ryan.
They signed him today, right?
Yeah.
So, but still, I don't know. I'm very curious on what that fit's going to look like. I mean,
it's a quarterback rotation in Indy, 100%. And I think with Cincinnati, what I loved is they got all this flack for a horrible offensive line. Sign all these all-pro offensive lines.
Yeah, they went out and got it done.
Yeah, got it done. The Bengals are going back to the Super Bowl. I'm calling it right now. But I love the moves they did. Shout out to the Bengals organization, Zach Taylor. They have a horrible history of making fucked up decisions, so I'm really happy.
Meeting a line and going to get wide receivers.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited for the future on that. Very shocked by, seeing Mariota get back into the Falcons. You see Trubisky go to the Steelers. So I think a lot of players are seeing these options where if they don't have an actual team, play that backup role, and then you'll end up landing a starter. It's such a rotation out there. I mean, there's a lot of crazy potential that's going to happen. I mean, you see the NFC West with the Rams, you know, they're going to be back. Seattle's going in with Drew Lock as their starter for week 1. That's a big redemption year moment there for him. That AFC West that he left with Russell Wilson coming to Denver. You have Vegas that's looking phenomenal, Devontae Adams and Josh McDaniel coaching. Kansas City's a whole new team. I think Juju really opens up that field there. As long as he stays off TikTok with Jackson Mahomes. But love what the AFC North's doing. My favorite division, you know, with the Bengals, and now Deshaun Watson's with Cleveland.
I was going to ask what your thoughts on that. I mean,
I'm going to be honest. The guaranteed contract's fucking crazy to me. The guy just hasn't even settled the civil lawsuits yet. I understand he's not going to serve any time, but the whole case about it's weird and crazy, but the guarantee money's wild. I hope he can deliver for that Cleveland team. You know, I want Cincinnati to beat them down, but Cleveland, that city just needs that the Browns' success a little bit, or a little bit better than Baker. But I feel like what they did to Baker was it's a hit or miss. I feel like Baker's been a bitch a little bit, but then he's also deserved a little bit more. So I'll be honest, it's a controversial move. However, I just hope in the long run that, you know, he was innocent, it all worked out. But you know, you just never know. And it is sad that sometimes winning football is put over those perspectives. So you do have to believe victims. You do have to believe these scenarios, but that's what it comes down to, the court proving innocent and everything. So Cleveland took a risk. And all I'm going to say is glad it's on that team, you know, because this can backfire huge, and Cleveland's fucked for years. So sorry, Lopez, but I just think the Bengals dominate that division. I don't think anyone's going to top the Bengals for the next decade. I'm saying that confidently. I don't think the Steelers or the Ravens do. I really do. And I feel like the NFC North is a terrible division. I think Aaron Rodgers is staying that easy, weak league. I think the Lions, though, will be improved. And I think Justin Jefferson has another big year for the Vikings. Where the Dolphins play, I think it could be Dolphins or Patriots here, but the Bills are tough. I mean, the Bills are dominant, but I feel like the Patriots and the Dolphins, I mean, I know the Bills made a lot of moves, like O.J. Howard, and these people want to go play, Bob Miller. I think that's a tough thing. So the Bills might have it locked up, but I still feel like the Patriots or Dolphins could make a run. I mean, it could be anybody's division.
I think Mac Jones and the Patriots, there's something there. After watching them play, and I think he's finding his rhythm and his confidence. And I'm not a Pats fan at all, but I just think he is. I think over the next 2-3 years, that team is going to definitely be a threat. The Bills are just they have it almost figured out. You know, every year they're right there, and they're always that team that, I mean, even in the game against Kansas City this year, you know, it was like they're always that team. You know, for the past couple of years, and a ton of credit to Josh Allen, what he's done there. But I just think, you know, that's going to be the toughest team right now, and I think the Patriots are right behind them. So hoping the Dolphins can figure it out. I think 1 or 2 more years, and we'll get to swinging again. Yeah. But I think it'll be those 3 without a doubt.
In the AFC South, you know, I think that's up there now. I think the Colts can be a little bit more competitive with Matt Ryan. I think the Titans are going to be big. Jacksonville spent a lot of money this year, huge money. So who knows what's going to happen there? And I think the Texans just shit the bed. I think it's going to be Texans or Falcons' worst team. Maybe even, you know, I hope Detroit's on that mix, but I think with the Texans and Falcons, I really believe those 2 teams are going to be awful. I don't really see the Texans doing much, and I feel like I want Mariota to do well, but I feel like with the Falcons, it's just that wide receiver room. I think it has 100 career receptions or less. It's that young. And the NFC South, I mean, do you think it's Brady sweeping that division? Or, you know, I mean, Atlanta's not really there. Carolina's not really there. And then New Orleans is bringing Jameis back off injury.
I don't see New Orleans being a threat to him.
No.
I really don't.
I think that's why maybe that's why if he knew, I think he wanted to move teams. I think Brady wanted to play somewhere else, like in San Francisco or somewhere, because it's him and he just likes different schemes. But I think, too, he realized, if I can't make that move, I got this wrapped up in the box. I just got to take down the Rams.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing. And I think, obviously, being, you know, Brady and all this talk about, do you know what's going on with Julio yet? Has there been any new developments there? I know Brady was trying to get Julio Jones to come.
Julio,
so I don't know if he ended up making the move or not. And then just talking broad scale NFL, I mean, I think a team we didn't mention that has a shot is the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, Julio Jones is not signed anywhere, but they're saying that they were thinking about wanting him to be with the Colts because that's where a lot of people, like Darius Leonard, wants him there and stuff like that. So I know the Titans have broke off from that, but some people are saying that Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay need Julio. I mean, there's not the thing that Aaron Rodgers, I don't think, realized when the Devontae Adams move happened, and I don't care what any Packers fan says, there's not a wide receiver one there in that house anymore. It's probably 5 wide receiver 3s. And I'm not saying those guys are bad. I mean, but it's not going to be pretty, and it's not going to be the expectation he wants. So he better hope that division's just as weak because he's got a challenge on his hands.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think, probably, which I don't know how much he knew about the Devontae situation.
Exactly.
But I mean,
I don't even know about his relationship with him.
I agree. But him saying, Devontae Adams is the best receiver in the league.
100%.
I mean,
he's replaced Hopkins. He's replaced Jefferson. He's replaced a lot of these Odells. He's topped those guys because I mean he's just proven it, and he's a fucking monster. Now I will say this, and again I know I'm being this homer, but Jamar Chase, if he keeps doing what he's doing, I mean,
he's right up there.
Yeah, if he can hold on to that ball every time 100%, he's going to do big things. And I'm just saying though, this is such an exciting football league for wide receiver, and it's going to be fun to play fantasy.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, just this last year with so many different teams being in it, just so unexpected. I think that it's definitely shaking things up and.
It's March, and we're already excited for something that starts in August. I mean,
Now, speaking of March, what about March Madness? Have you been keeping up?
Yeah, I mean, I had Kentucky was the team that I thought was going to win. I didn't even, thing with March Madness is this. It's been so special to me over the years. I've gone to games. I've always kept a newspaper. I played in fucking 50,000 bracket challenges. But I just remember Pizza Hut and all these places. As a kid, just March Madness was my life. I remember in school, I had to go watch the game. I loved convincing my teacher to turn on 10 minutes of the game. So come on, teacher, the game's on. So I think this is an exciting year because there is a lot of up and down teams. You still have some number 1 seats left, but what St. Peter's has done, it's fucking crazy. It's unbelievable. And
Michigan,
and shout out to Juwan Howard. I think he's really turned that program around. He wants to win big for Michigan, especially after those 5 days. So I'm excited to see, and I think there's been some great games. A lot of things about the NCAA tournament people don't realize. 2 of my favorite things in sports is really underrated is that people don't ever take serious is the late night games you get on the East Coast. So the WAC, the Mountain West, these Hawaii games, all that stuff. I watch that shit, especially when I'm by myself or bored or when I get access to it, because they have talent that you don't get to see in the East Coast and that's not promoted. And then the second thing that I love is March Madness with just the matchups that are out of nowhere. But what I love is the opening games because of the fight. Indiana, Wyoming, the opening game was such a fucking battle and such a great game. I hate IU. I'm sorry, I'm a Kentucky fan. I respect to IU fans. I know IU has history. They beat us before. I'd love to go to their facilities, but I just wanted to watch that game. And Wyoming had this huge center, and it just was a battle. And you could just tell these guys wanted to play the NCAA tournament, and that is a guilty pleasure like that. That is something where you tell the regular sports fan hey, Indiana Wyoming's playing, we'll go watch it. I think I got it playing tonight. Yeah. Then you end up tuning in. Well, fuck it. I heard Eric talking about watch. Holy shit! This dude's So that's what's exciting, and it's cool seeing things happen in games where sometimes you're I don't think anybody's watching. You know, that kind of deal.
So, and it's just cool seeing these kids compete. I mean, there's so much put on. I mean, as a college, you look at these guys, and obviously, being a college athlete, not on that stage, but there's so much pressure, so many things asked of 18-year-olds to perform, and just you never know what's going to happen. And I think it's awesome. So I love March Madness. I grew up loving it. I have Villanova winning it all.
Nice.
So I think them or UNC is looking pretty.
I heard
right
too.
now.
I listen to Dan Patrick in the morning. He's my favorite sports show, and two of the Danettes, his co-host on there, they pick Villanova as well. So a lot of people have gone that route, and you can have a winner there. And I want to say, man, I think you're doing great. I think you're killing it. I think you've done a lot in your life so far. Definitely, you're young, and I'm proud of you, man. And so it's an honor to call you a friend, and I'm glad to have gotten to know you. Thanks for coming on the show. How can people reach out to you from a standpoint if they want to talk about fitness or just kind of like maybe even about losing weight or any just basics?
Yeah, no, number one, I appreciate you having me on the show. I mean, likewise, man, you're doing so many things, and obviously, it's just been awesome getting to know you and bond more. But for reaching out for me about fitness and just anything in general. So my Instagram is the best way to go. It's just Charlie, CHARLIE _Loveall, LOVEALL.
Okay.
It's, hit me with a follow, hit me with a message. I give back to everybody. And my email is also linked on there where, people can get a hold of me if you want to shoot me an email. And at that point, shoot me a message. I'll throw you my number and we can get to talking shop and getting it all taken care of.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. And I appreciate you helping the listeners. And I think what you're doing is great for that. Everybody that's listening, thank you again. This was a great episode. Only got a few more left. So keep downloading, keep listening, keep sending the love. vibingwithsleazy@gmail.com or Vibing with Sleazy, the podcast at Facebook or Instagram. The World of Sleazy on Instagram as well. So reach out. I'm always getting followers. Love meeting new people. And I can't thank all my guests enough for sharing their stories, their testimonies, and their backgrounds. So we've had I've had just an exciting amount of guests that have brought something different, and so I love that, and I hope you learned something. So again, thank you everybody. Listen, stream, download on all the platforms. Spotify, Apple are the #1 places, and we are out. Peace.